Hello there, World of Tankers. Welcome back to another one of my videos. I am Blitz, and today I'm going to be talking about World of Tanks' worst teams. Now, this has taken me a while to get the next episode in this series, and you guys have been waiting such a long time, so I do want to apologize for me not getting enough of these out in the past months. It literally has been months that I have gotten the last one out. However, if you guys would like to see your replays in this, series, which I'm going to try and revamp and bring back into my channel, maybe post one once a week or so. Make sure you do join the Discord and post your replays in the worst teams section, or the best teams, whatever you want. But again, this video is going to be on World of Tanks' worst teams, and the way it pretty much works is I'm going to be showing some of the worst games I've played and other people have played over the past months or whatever, and you guys get to vote. You guys get to decide which team did the worst, and also I'm going to talk about why the teams fell apart and what you could have possibly done to counter this, what you could have told your team, just scenarios that really could have fixed the game on how you could have won. So without further ado, let's get stuck right into the first replay. Now this first game here, you can see me running my WZ-111, and you can see I'm pretty much turning my vehicle. I want to go up the hill. We have 3 medium tanks already up on the hill. I was going to push up there. We also have an AMX 5120. That's very, very quickly we would be able to get up to the hill and pretty much just completely overpower the enemy tanks the enemy team has. Because if you take a look, they got a T-49, T-26E4, FCM and the Centurion. Those really aren't strong vehicles. And if our AMX 5120, Type 61, they don't have any Tier 9 mediums. So when you think about it, our team would have easily been able to overrun the upper hill. And not to mention, when you get control of the larger area at the top, what happens is when people try and cap or flank, you have the hills to your advantage. You can shoot down on people, and for some reason, my Type 61 just did not want to push that way. Literally pushed into the center of the base capture and is just going to sit there for the rest of the game until he dies. And I don't even think he gets any damage out, which is even worse. Now, I was trying to get that shot into the tracks there. It did go in the tracks, just did not penetrate. But we are down our 44 because for some reason our 44, even though our entire team decided to push downhill, which I really didn't want to happen, 44 decided, you know what, I'm still going to go up because, yeah, I'm a great player, so I'm going to push up, completely ignore my team. So there goes one of our tanks already. Then Type 61, dead. He's calling our team useless. Like, really? You're calling... We could have easily pushed up that hill and won if we had just easily, as a group, pushed up there. It would have been the quickest victory, because as you can see, the T-30 and the IS-8 and any of these slower vehicles would have been down on the bottom of this hill. And as I said, our mediums and our faster tanks would have easily been able to climb that hill and overrun the enemy vehicles they had. We would have easily been able to push through. It would have just been a straight flush right through their team. But because my team just did not want to go up that hill, it really didn't work out. So advice for this map is always try and control the hill, because if you control the hill, you pretty much control the battle. Now, I will say, one thing the enemy team messed up on doing was when they all rushed down the hill, it would have been smarter for them if they had stayed up on top of the hill, because you are going to see, I'm still going to try and do the best I can here. Just unfortunately, there's not much you can do when there's a full health T-30 on the enemy team, just waiting to nail 600 hit points off of you. Now, we do not get the shot into that M6 actually, but we do get a pretty low roll on that T-30, and you can see he just pulls around the corner, and we are surrounded pretty much everywhere. If you look on the minimap, literally, we are completely surrounded. Our team was just completely awful, and that AMX 5120 wasn't a bad player, to be honest. It was just that our team didn't want to go up, and it really agitated me that they didn't, because you can literally see we just got completely overrun on every single axis, and there was nothing we could have done about it. It was a complete defeat right from the beginning. I knew it right off the beginning when our team didn't push up. You saw me turn my tank around. I was actually shaking my head, talking to my friend when I was playing this game. I'm like, no, we're not going to win this. It's not going to happen. And you can see the medium, Type 61, 0 damage. There's the T-44. Like, really, we could have easily won this game if we had pushed up the hill. Not to mention we have gun depression tanks as well. It really would have just completely worked. Their IS-8 went downhill, the T-30 went downhill, and the M6 went down, which means only 4 of their vehicles would have pushed up. Now, 4 of their vehicles versus our entire team pushing up, we would have completely steamrolled them, killed all of their medium tanks, and then you control the hill. And what ends up happening is when you control the hill, the enemy team can't push up on the hill because obviously they're just going to be shot. You're undetected. You've got bushes. You've got cover. When you're down in the towny area, you can get spotted crossing through corridors and everything like that. So you definitely, just as a little advice, is definitely always try and win the upper part of the map. Now, of course, if your team has 5 heavies and you've got 2 mouse on your team and the enemy team has 2 E100s, I wouldn't suggest to go up the hill. But in a scenario like this, where your team has more fast tanks than slow, and you know that your team can easily overrun their tanks because their tanks aren't going to go up, or only a certain number of them are, like in this battle, situation, definitely try and at least motivate your team to go up, because I was really disappointed when that 61 then started yelling at the team for not, I don't even know. It was just really, really a bad game. So that was the first one. Let's get stuck straight into the second. Now you can see this second game is on mines, and I'm running my RHM. And if you take a look at our team lineups, which you always want to do at the beginning of the games, you can notice that we have 2 top-tier heavy tanks. We've got the M103 and the Kampfpanzer. Now, if you take a look at the enemy team, they don't have any top-tier heavy tanks whatsoever. They have the Batchet and the WT, which means we should easily be able to control the hill because of the tanks that we have. An M103 should easily be able to hold off an entire heavy flank just because it is an M103. You can see our M6 push the other side, which means that M6 is over there, and the issue right now, as you can see, is that our team is split up. If I pause it real quick, we have our AMX AC over here. And by the way, the AMX AC is going to rush over to that Pantera, and you never want to do that in a non-turreted tank destroyer. Why would you rush at a medium tank that can easily flank you? That's definitely not the best idea, especially because if you don't know your team is supporting you. He asked for help, and nobody said affirmative. Nobody said they were going to be covering him. So if you don't get acknowledgement from your team that you're going to be getting cover, now I do end up helping him, but you definitely don't want to just run over there unless you at least have a teammate that you know is covering you. But then you see we've got our M103 and a CDC. That's it. We have the M103 and a CDC holding off the Tiger 2, the Batchat. You've probably got the WT in the back of the bush there. They can't push past that halfway point. We got the 49 up in mid, who has pretty much lost all of his hit points already. Not going to do much damage unless that WT does get spotted in the back bush. And then over here we've got the KPFPZ70 and the M6 who are holding over on the other side. So overall, the teams are pretty even so far on hit points and everything alike. So we'll see what does end up happening, which turns our team so bad. Now this AMX is rushing over here alone, so I definitely want to try and cover him right now because I know that if I don't, he'll probably get flanked or taken out by that Pantera. So Pantera rushes off. We actually do 1128 right through his turret, so that was a pretty nasty shell. And you can see we're doing the best we can. The Tiger 2 is bouncing off that M103. Everything's working well, but then the M103 makes a fatal mistake. Now, if I pause right now, the reason that M103 made just a huge mistake is you can see that he pushed past the rock. Now, as we said before, they have a WT and the J Panther, plus they got that Tiger 2, the Batchat. They have 4 tanks pretty much aiming at that M103. And if that WT and the J Panther hit him right now, that M103 will explode. And he's literally just sitting out in the open. And M103 gets lit on fire and dead, clipped out by a Batchat. So we're literally down one of our full health tier 9 heavy tanks already because of a Batchat and a Tiger 2, which should not have happened. Then our CDC decided to rush to the side, got shot by the WT, who was probably trying to deal with that AMX. So now you can see it's not looking too good. It's a 4 versus 5. And I do make a little bit of a misplay here. I pushed into the wrong spot. I thought that the Tiger 2 was going to push up through the middle of this hill area. As you can see, I'm really trying to see if I can spot him. But I realize he's not going this way. I see him spot on the other side. So I figure, okay, I have to get to the other bush, see if I can cover the team. Now, I've got no clue what happened to this KPZ's hit points. Literally just all evaporated. Look at the way he's facing his tank. Look at the way he's facing his tank. He's backwards. I think the tank is 1 degree of gun depression over the rear of his tank. He's literally facing it backwards, not in any cover. I don't understand players sometimes. The M6, you can see, isn't really able to do much anymore. That was actually a pretty lucky blind shot we got there. But that M6 you can also see pushed way too aggressive. He should not have pushed past that point. And one of the major things I always say in a lineup is if you were to sort of draw an imaginary line right now, if you take a look at the minimap and you were to sort of draw an imaginary line right in the middle of the map, you never want to cross that line in any tank until you know that you can win the match guaranteed. Because, as I said, that WT and the Bat Chat and the J Panther, they were sitting at the back of the map, just nailing all of our teammates every time they pulled out. And look at that shot there. That was quite unfortunate. To be honest, if that shell had hit there, we could have possibly won the game. But it's still a 1 versus 4 right now, which really, it's not going to work out too well. But you can see here, I'm still trying the best I can to slam an HU right into that Bat Chat, and it's just not looking too well for us anymore. I actually do push forwards here. T-34 misses us, but there is one tank I was really hoping would not pull around this corner so quickly, but he does. I thought we were going to get the shot off, but we didn't. But literally, what was our team doing? We had very, very good tanks. It's not like we had bad tanks. We had an M103, M6 experimental, and that M6 should have pushed right up the mid, because when you're running a tank that has good gun depression, very solid armor, you need to push it up the middle lane, right where the hill is to the middle area, because when you do that, it really stops the enemy team from pushing on you. Again, the Kampfpanzer, very solid turret, could easily hold the line up on the heavy side. And then what you want to do is you want to have a tank like the AMX CDC and the T-49 rush up to the middle circle area, and what's going to happen is they're going to spot all the guys. Nobody's going to push across, because if they do push, you're going to get shot trying to get up to that rock. You saw that M103 cross. So what ended up happening was, because our team, first of all, had the T-49 was pretty much useless. He just died. And then our M103 just decided to go right over the hill for no apparent reason. You can see the tanks that usually do the most damage. I did the most damage. I did 3,000, and you can see the WT did the most damage. Now, it's not too hard to figure out why tank destroyers do the most damage, and that's because players don't know where they are. It's because if you're not spotted in a tank destroyer, players don't understand that you're probably going to be sitting in one of the 5 or 6 bushes that are most commonly used. So like when you're on, desert sands, you're going to be sitting on the back of the map by rails usually in a tank destroyer. You can usually guess that if there's 3 tank destroyers on an enemy team and they're pushing medium, you'll at least have 2 of them on the rails usually. So you'll position your tank in a spot to where you're not going to be able to get shot by them with the dunes and the stuff on rails. That's the same way for mines. You don't push past that halfway line, because as soon as you do, those tank destroyers have easy shots right through your vehicle, just like on that M103. So that is one thing to definitely keep in mind, is know where the enemy tank destroyers are. But let's get stuck into that last game. Now this game here actually isn't played by me. This game is played by, I'm going to try and pronounce it. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm just going to say Win, because I can't pronounce the other things in that name. But right now we're watching him in his E50M, and he's not a spectacular player. I can say that. I watched the replay, and he makes a very, very bad mistake. To be honest, the whole team, the mediums, again, mediums are one thing that players don't really, a lot of people underestimate in the game. Mediums are probably the winning factor of a team. Tank destroyers are definitely a big factor. In that, heavy tanks are a big factor, but usually what happens when you win or lose games is because your mediums die and they get pushed on, and then the heavies get flanked by the mediums, and they have to turn around, and then your heavies push through. And that's usually what ends up happening through most of the games that you win. So the main thing you want to do in a medium tank is you want to get some solid ground. So you can see right away, these medium tanks did not push up to where the enemy mediums are. And believe it or not, I was actually on the enemy team here. I was running my Bat Jet. You can see me over in the back corner there. But what ended up happening is you can see the entire team of Win's player here, or the entire team literally sat in this one little area on the minimap. And because of that, literally they're all useless. The M48 Patton is already dead. The 140, I'm not sure where he's going. You can see Win here lost already 1,100 hit points. That is all their mediums. If this team's medium, should I say, had pushed directly to counter ours, I don't think they would have won, just because you can probably guess that our team was definitely more skilled than theirs. But still, the tank destroyers would probably have gotten better positions, gotten shots off. Because these mediums didn't push in, what ended up happening is these tank destroyers can't get covering shots because the mediums are the tanks that spot. And tank destroyers can't sit right next to the mediums because if the mediums are spotted, the tank destroyers are going to be spotted, if that does make sense. So you can't have a 183 and an E50M sniping next to each other because as soon as that E50M gets spotted, the 183 will be spotted as well. So it's not like you're gaining any extra shots. There's nobody spotting for you. It's pretty much just like shooting at a brick wall. But you can see Erwin is trying to do his best. He's shooting at this IS-7, and while he's done that, you can see our team pretty much just completely did what happened in that WZ game before. We completely just encircled and engulfed the Wins team here, and you can see now they are all pretty much dead. We all made a straight push. We sort of pincered and sandwiched their tanks in, and now we're just going to finish off the last couple vehicles on the team. You can see Wind here's trying to do the best he can. Unfortunately, that heat shield just does not penetrate, but somehow he gets one of the luckiest bounces I've ever seen. Does get the kill, but you can see he's at 298 hit points. And look at the push that we have here. Their whole team just completely fell apart. And you can see it was just one of the worst teams I've actually seen in Blitz in a while. The team was actually so bad, I messaged Win and I asked him if it was possible he could send me the replay just so I could show how quick they died. And then you can see here the tank destroyers are all yelling at the mediums. That's a little bit of a different story, just the toxicity and everything. But definitely, if the E50M and the M48 Patton, and by the way, the M48 Patton and the E50M have excellent turrets. They could have easily pushed up over to the, this side of the map where this 140 is going right now, pushed up through this bush here and just easily held off the enemy tanks. But because they didn't do that, as I said, the tank destroyers didn't have shots. The whole team just completely fell apart. Every team relies on the medium. So if you are a medium player, make sure you do know all the maps. And I'm soon going to be making videos on all the map positions because that is one of the things I notice a lot of people have trouble with. And it's one of the most important things in the game. Even when I'm in my bat chat, I run my bat chat like a medium because I know that my mediums usually need support. And if they need support, I'm the guy that's going to go run in there, clip somebody out, do the best I can. If I can't support my mediums, I'm going to go run away, shoot the tank destroyers. That's sort of how I run the bat chat. But you can see here, their team just completely fell apart. And it was just really just a terrible effort for the medium tanks. You can literally see the M48 Patton, 0 damage. Object 140, not a great player. And because of that, again, the tank destroyers just could not output damage. You can see the tank destroyers on our team are up in the top list. We got the 183 2,900 damage, the Jagdpanzer with 1,500. They're always the higher damage tanks when your mediums do well because they're getting shots off. You saw that 183, I think, did 1,100 damage in the first shell of the game just because the E50M was spotted, sat in the open. It's really, you have to know where you're pushing. As I said, you need to know where the enemy tank destroyers are usually going to be sitting. They're going to be parallel to you, usually in bushes, already waiting for you to get spotted. So there's definitely a lot of things you want to keep in mind. Now, I did this one a little bit different than my other worst teams videos. If you like my normal just rant about the teams and say they're all crap and stuff, please let me know in the comments down below. But I wanted to make it a little more of a informational video as well and teach you guys why sometimes you just have these awful teams and what you could have done to counter them, how you really can win, and other stuff like that. But other than that, I hope you did enjoy this video, and as well, you probably did see the poll pop up sometime during this video to vote on which team you think did do the worst. So we'll see which one did do the worst. And other than that, guys, I'll see you in the next one. As always, don't forget to subscribe. Have a good one.